Oh, what is that sound? Oh, that sounded horrible. What was that?
What?
It was a Hey guys, how's it going?
Well,
Welcome back to another episode of the Otakuology podcast. I'm Otaku Mike. I'm here with my podcast partner, Jen Graves. If you don't know what the Otakuology podcast is, it's a podcast where we talk about nerdy things. And today, we're talking about a really interesting subject. It's one that we've kind of touched on before, but we're giving it its own designated episode. It's something that's gone around the manga tube community for quite some time. It's one of those topics that keeps getting brought up. But as the years have gone on, I feel like it's kind of started to change a little bit.
most def.
And we are talking about physical manga versus digital manga.
Yeah.
That's right. So you want to get into this? Let's talk about it.
Heck yeah.
All right. So, yeah, like we said before, this is a topic that we've talked about before, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I think we've talked about it multiple times.
Yeah.
Like you said, with like MangaTube and whatnot, like this probably comes around, I feel like twice a year. Like, so it gets brought up like every 6-month period, you know?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It's a really interesting topic, especially when you're dealing with like collectors in general.
Right.
It really only happens with like manga, comics. You could say with movies, video games, stuff like that. But we're particularly talking about manga, and I have really changed over the years as a collector, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When it comes to talking about this subject, I used to be very, very anti-digital manga.
Right.
When I say digital, I'm not talking about scans. I'm talking about like legal places where you can buy manga, which you can or subscribe to. There's like a new one called like, I think it's called Manga Cafe. I think it's what it's called. There's Bookwalker.
Maybe.
There's it's a new one. It's like a subscription based one.
Yeah.
I think it's called like Manga Cafe. I checked it out recently. And then there's Bookwalker. There is the Shonen Jump app.
Right.
And then you have Comixology,
Right. And then you have the ones through the actual site itself.
Yeah.
Like Yin Press and Kodansha both have ones like that, and 7 Seas.
Yeah. I think Manga Cafe does a lot of stuff with Kodansha, actually.
Yeah. Getting into more of the hentai-ish. I mean, Faku.
Oh yes, Faku. Yeah.
And I think there's a new site coming that's like Faku as well.
There's one. It's called like J18. It's a new like doujinshi hentai site.
Yeah.
That they've also been started. They started producing physical manga actually, but they're not as big as like the Faku manga that you would buy. They're only like 30 something pages, something like that. They're really short.
Okay, so it's not like the 10 chapters that Faku puts into it.
No, but they kind of go for that same price almost sometimes.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, they're a little bit less. I think like $13 or something like that, But yeah. So let's kind of talk about the pros and cons.
Heck yeah.
Of this. Pro.
Are we going to mix our pros and cons in with it too? Like,
yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to go first?
Yeah. Well, my first pro for paperback is it just kind of gives you that feel good stuff of when you were growing up. You know, we've all had physical books and stuff like that we've actually
Yeah.
touched, and I really think that the way more of us that were older that
Hmm.
didn't start school and say, oh well, here's a tablet for you to take your classes and stuff
Yeah.
on. um Actually touching like a physical book
Uh-huh.
feels a lot better than trying to do like digital stuff.
I do have to agree with that aspect as somebody, because I feel like um now I am just getting into like reading on a tablet or stuff like that. I was very much pro physical, and I kind of have somewhat of a disconnect when I'm reading a digital manga versus physical manga.
True.
When I'm looking at the screen, it's different with the comic book, because usually within comic books, for digital comic books, I get the guided view, so I don't have to keep zooming in and manually. It like kind of goes from panel to panel
Right.
and like guides me and like zooms in so I can read it on like my phone or a tablet or something like that. With manga, I haven't really experienced that. I don't know if they really have guided view for manga. All the manga that I've read digitally have not had like a guided view. So I've had like a very, very big disconnect when it comes to digital manga
Right.
for myself. Like I'm not like totally against it, but like I don't know, it's just something wired in my brain where it's like I don't it just doesn't feel right to me.
Right.
Like I don't know how to explain it.
Right. Well, like my con on the flip side of that for like digital
Uh-huh.
is because I have read some that I wasn't able to, like, I didn't own it or
Yeah.
whatever, but I still read it through like an app or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Um, that I read on a tablet or something like that, and you know, if you're doing that late at night or whatever, I mean, it just gets to the point where like your eyes start going there, and I start like getting headaches and my head starts swimming, and I'm like, oh my god, what?
Yeah. Well, they have you ever seen those like yellow glasses?
Yeah,
Like yellow tinted glasses for people who like read or do a lot of computer work.
yeah,
It's supposed to like help with their eyes. I kind of wonder if you could use that with like manga, like digital manga,
yeah,
and maybe that could possibly help with that.
right,
With like headaches and your eyes hurt and stuff like that.
right. I think it's just the extreme glow of it. You know, so many people have to have their stuff up, pretty high to
Yeah.
feel like you can look at all the detail of it.
Yeah, no, yeah. I get it, but you also uh yeah, I think that's a normal thing though with people who, if you stare at a monitor long enough,
Yeah,
like that's like a normal thing with people when it comes to like your eyes.
right.
Cause like even when I'm like playing like video games and stuff, like that happens to me sometimes too. Where I'll start getting like headaches and stuff like that, and my eyes will
Yeah,
start to hurt. Especially someone like I sit in front of a computer all day and have to look at a monitor,
right.
and stuff like that. But yeah, I think one of the things though that has stopped me from reading manga digitally is not having a way to read it. Like now I can read it, like on my laptop, because I have a laptop now. But mostly, whenever I would have to read manga digitally, I have to read it on my phone,
Right.
and I don't like the aspect of holding it on my phone and it just being so small.
Yeah.
Like I
Well,
don't like that. And
right.
I go ahead.
Oh no, continue.
Oh, and like I've always been baffled by this, to where I see people at work reading manga digitally on their phone, and I'm like, how the fuck do you do that? Like, you just train your brain to do that, and and you just got so used to it, and it's just been like so like a like secondhand nature type of thing, you know?
Right.
Um, so I mean, I even do that with like I've kind of started dabbling with the Comixology app on my phone, and like I'll have to turn my phone sideways to so I can read. Like I can read, you know.
Oh, that's gonna be crappy.
Actually, it's not too bad because I
Yeah.
still have the guided view when I'm reading comics.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I was reading Atomic Robo like that,
Yeah.
and that's one like the one of the comics that I read digitally. I don't really read a lot of digital manga on that app. Honestly, it's been a lot more comic book
Right.
related stuff with
Right.
that.
You just have some of the comics on there for like us to pot them out.
Yeah, I just have some like the manga on there that
Well, so like I'm gonna say this in it. I'm gonna say pro and con, and then flip it for both of them.
uh-huh.
So I feel like a pro for digital is how much space that a digital file actually takes up compared to the physical.
Yes.
You know, you can have a lot more, but in that aspect, I also hate it because even though I can store more, like if I have a stack of manga, you know, I take in my room to read out
Mm-hmm.
of the library or anything, um, when I'm sitting there and I'm reading it, you know, I'll take one off and then I'll put it back in the library or
Yeah.
whatever, put it back on the shelf, and it
Mm-hmm.
actually I see my progress. And I
Yeah.
feel like with digital, you can't see that progress as well.
Um, I know with the Comixology app, it does tell you which ones you have read or how far you have read
Right.
in it. So it does keep your spot
Right.
when you're reading a manga or a comic like that. So it does tell me like what I've read and what I haven't read, which I do like. But I can totally see where you're coming from in that aspect of,
Yeah.
you know, because you can watch the stack dwindle down as you put one away, you know,
Right.
versus like, okay, how many did I read? Like, what did I read, you know, on digital, you know? But I do know Comixology, I think it does keep track of that. Um, and with the digital aspects, the thing, a big con for people is you don't get to keep what you buy.
Right.
You're technically borrowing it, which you're paying for that license to read said manga, which is fine. You know, a lot of people had that problem with like buying movies digitally or getting them on Amazon. I know that's a big thing with video games, with
Right.
digital video games. That aspect, I don't really care about because it's like I don't want to really keep my digital manga library. It's more like I'm reading it to see if I potentially want to buy it.
You're reading it to pot about it.
To pod about it, yeah. Or like or potentially like reading it because you know like they're cheaper than buying it physically. There's stuff like or I can't get it physically. It's only exclusive digitally, you know?
Right. It's kind of
And
like your Five Below steal earlier today
with the
or
what?
yesterday.
Which one?
Getting paying for Borderlands 3 digitally like still versus getting the physical copy.
Oh,
Uh you know, because like that's I would say that's another pro and con. Like for digital, most of the time it's always going to be at a set price.
it
And
depends if it's on sale. They do
yeah,
pretty big
and
sales.
and it could have a sale on it or whatever, but
Yeah.
most of the time something physical is going to end up being cheaper than the digital at some point, most
It
likely.
it depends.
Yeah.
It depends because I know manga is a little cheaper digitally, like $2-3 cheaper sometimes, uh, which is not bad, you know. But like they do have sales all the time where you can get a manga volume for like $2-3, you know. they'll have like series sales to where it's like $2.99 a book,
Right.
which is not bad if you want to read digitally. It's not, and you don't have the space. And that's another thing is space.
That's true.
Space is a big thing when it comes to physical manga.
Which I wish there was more things like Comixology, but would work with all the companies and stuff together, and
Yeah.
almost have it set up like Faku does. Because Faku, when you buy one of their hard copy editions, if you buy it from them, they virtually give you the digital one for free.
Yeah.
Versus like if you just buy the digital one and it having a price range. But like I know like sometimes when you and I have gotten manga from Right Stuff or whatever,
yeah,
then we're paying the same amount, but we're not getting like a digital code or anything else for that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's something that like comic books have dabbled with as well.
Right.
Which DC had a big digital buy physical, get the digital code, it might cost like $1 more or whatever, but you get that digital version as well, which
Right.
I
And some of the
think,
Marvel comics have done that as
some of the Marvel
well.
comics have done that. I think like a lot of the podcasts that I listen to that are like digital, or they only read digital comics.
Right.
Because they've run into the aspect of running out of room. And if they like something, they will buy the series and then they will go back and double dip and like buy the trade paperback or the collection. That's kind of like with, I feel like how digital manga is going as well. Like you can try this series out, you might not have the room for it right now, and potentially go get it again later.
Right.
Like, and I don't think it's a bad thing to read digital. I do know that there are people out there that are against it like wholeheartedly. They're
Right.
like, if you have a digital collection of manga, even if it's a legal digital collection, they're like your collection isn't valid, because you don't physically have it, but you have paid for it.
Right.
But you don't physically have it, so therefore it's like not in your collection.
Right. Well, I mean, and then that's another thing too. Like if somebody, I mean, because you and I have Instagrams and whatnot, like we can sit there and take a picture and doll it up or whatever, and people go, "Oh yeah," and get 100 likes or whatever on it from individuals because they're like, "Oh yeah, I can see that it's a physical copy."
Yeah.
But for digital, that's kind of another thing that I find like you can't exactly show it off.
I mean, you could take a picture of your tablet.
That's true. You could. That always trips me up. I'm like, that's not a different tablet that you got. It's the same one.
Yeah, I know. I feel like the manga community is kind of weird about that, or some people are in the manga community are weird about that. Like collecting digital and stuff like that. But I totally see benefits from digital. Getting to try manga out and not having to pay as much for it, is always good. And there are manga out there that are exclusively digital. Like a lot of the stuff from Kodansha is digital, I forgot what I was talking about. Damn it. But yeah, like I can try something out and then potentially buy it later, which is a very big plus for me. I don't have to go to the store, spend money on gas,
Well, another pro con for both of them really is like with digital, it's always basically going to be at your fingertips.
That is true.
You can buy it and you're not going to have to worry about it versus you might go to the store and not find the physical copy for a while.
Yeah,
they might
that
not
is
keep it in
true.
stock or anything else like that.
And a lot of people nowadays are like, they want it at the push of a button,
Right.
A lot of our society has gone that way. And I feel like a lot of, younger collectors have possibly have gone that way as well and foregone the physical volumes and just go
Right.
digitally, you know?
Right. And I think another thing with that too, like the pro, and I don't know if I can really call it too much of a pro, because honestly when it comes down for patience,
Yeah.
it's how fast do you want it, because like I know there's people that uh or like I'll throw my brother under the bus. Like when Naruto was coming out, whenever
Uh-huh.
the new chapter came out, he had to read it.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he would read it because it came out, and he would do that, and then I would wait for the book to come out. And when
Mhm.
I got the book, I would get to enjoy the whole book together. And he's like, "Well, why are you doing that?"
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just the patience. How fast do you want to enjoy that story, and how fast does it come out?
That is true because there are manga out there that come out at a snail's pace, like physically.
Right.
And I totally get it because like a lot of us nowadays are very much trained to be like, I want everything right now, you know.
Yeah.
I need
Like
to
the
read it
commercial.
right. Yeah.
I want it now.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the rest of that is.
Like I know like a lot of like scan readers will do that as well. They'll be like chomping at the bit for the next chapter, reading week to week or every other week or every other month, you know. But it's like kind of inevitable. We have to wait, you know?
Right.
So, I mean,
And I mean, I get why you would buy a digital and then double dip and buy a physical copy, but I also feel like that's a con in itself,
uh-huh.
is because you're having to buy it twice.
Well, yeah, but if you love something enough, you probably will buy it twice, you know.
I don't know. I mean, I like reading manga, but I'm not going to buy it twice.
But I mean like even with like Comixology, they do weekend day and date week chapters. You can buy the chapters
Right.
for like a couple bucks. I think it's like 2 or
Right.
3 bucks a chapter, you know.
Which, I mean, would you say that's kind of a con, that you can buy the chapter for that much when most likely they're going to sell the book
Well,
for
I'm
cheaper?
saying I'm saying 2 to 3 bucks, but that's just a guess because I don't actually remember what they charge. I
Okay.
want to say it's like maybe like $1 something.
Yeah. Well, just going off of like my experience with like Marvel Insider, because that's the
Yeah,
one that I usually read for
yeah,
part of my Marvel comics and stuff that I
yeah.
enjoy getting into.
Hmm.
Um, is whenever I'm reading that, then if I want to buy like one of the floppies or like
Hmm.
a single edition,
Hmm.
it costs me $2 or so.
Yeah, well, you can say
But
like
if I wait for, because what's like a comic, an American comic omnibus called?
an omnibus trade
Oh,
paperback
okay, yeah.
collection.
So
Yeah,
if I get like the big trade paperback hardcover and stuff,
yeah.
and I get that rendition of it or whatever digital, then I might only be paying $6 for it
It
versus it being
it depends.
10 or so.
It depends because the with those it kind of fluctuates depending on the company.
Yeah,
Because you're not going to get like the hardcover. You might get like a special deluxe edition, but it might have
right.
all the special deluxe edition stuff in it.
Yeah,
But it might not be the same price as like a physical hardcover.
right. Well, that's what
It
I'm saying. Like
like because there have
online,
been
if I buy it, if I
it
buy the bundle, it'll give it to me cheaper.
possibly. It depends on whether or not there's a sale. Like usually the trades go for I want to say half or about the same price as a regular trade for comics. I can't really remember off the top of my head with that one.
Mm,
Yeah, I would have to go look actually
yeah.
to because
Well, like I
they're
got I can't remember. It was one of the Incredible Hulk ones that came out.
yeah.
Um,
So I can get volume 1 of Bone
yeah.
digitally for $8.99.
Okay.
It retails for like $10. It looks like.
Right. But what if you were going to buy those? What if you were going to buy the big one by itself? The one that's got all of it together
I think
digitally.
it's like $50-$60.
Digitally?
Oh, digitally? I don't know, because Bone is with the Comixology Unlimited app.
Yeah.
So like I'm subscribed to the Unlimited service.
Right.
So I can get I can read it as a subscription. So a complete Bone is $19.99 digitally. Yeah.
I just had to laugh because you went a complete bone.
Okay, so Bone is about $9 a book.
Okay.
And one's like $6. And that's they're about $9.99, $8 a book.
Right.
So that's like what, 14? How many books is in Bone? I don't know.
I can't remember.
Yeah. So that's if you can either get. I mean, they offer getting the single graphic novels for that, or you can get it complete for $19.99.
Right.
It all depends on what you really want. So like a trade paperback digitally is gonna set you back probably around the same as like a normal sized trade paperback.
Right.
Like not like a big one, but like just a normal sized one, which is like $20 usually.
Well, I was just talking about the pro and con, like
Yeah.
just with digital of it itself.
Yeah. I mean,
buying things digital singularly.
Yeah.
Like every chapter or every volume or whatever. Well, not every volume, but every book.
Yeah.
Every chapter is going to cost you more total than buying the digital book singularly.
I guess maybe. I haven't bought chapters yet.
Yeah.
For manga. But I do know that they do that for certain titles.
Tongue twister.
Yeah.
They do that.
They do that.
So let's go back to this complete bone, okay?
Okay, let's go back to the complete Bone.
No, you were just talking and you just kind of had it like slip off your tongue and you were like, so the total price for a complete bone. And I was like, my mind is totally in the gutter.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
So, Mike.
Yeah.
We were talking about bone and everything. Tell me about this complete bone even more.
Now that you say that, it kind of sounds like I said it was dirty.
It does sound like it's dirty.
So yeah, I was kind of talking about Bone in the because that was the first thing that pulled up on my thing, and we were kind of talking about like the worth digital versus physical, the prices and whatnot.
Right.
So I know this isn't manga, but so at the moment, so the complete Bone, which is not dirty, get your mind out of the gutter. It's one of the most best works of art ever, in my opinion. Eisner Award winning.
I mean, I love Bone.
Yeah. So Bone retail goes for around $44.
Right.
For all of it in one book.
Right.
And so on Comixology, it's only $19.99 for all of it digitally. So there's kind of a difference in the prices, for physical versus digital. So digital would technically be a plus or a pro because um, it is cheaper,
Yeah.
you know, for that aspect of weighing the pros versus the cons of digital versus physical.
Right.
Go
Right.
ahead.
And I mean, that's one of the other things that usually makes me wonder is if buying the chapters individually as they come out is
Mm-hmm.
cheaper digitally. Is it cheaper than buying the complete book when it comes out?
Are you talking
Or
about like buying like the tankobons?
yeah, buying the chapters versus buying the complete tankobon.
That I don't know. I'm guessing it might be around the same price.
Yeah.
That I don't know because I never bought individual chapters,
Yeah.
so I can't say yay or nay on that
Right.
exactly. Um, but yeah, I mean there's a thing you have to weigh that right there because you don't technically own the digital copy,
Right. That's
and
true too.
yeah, and the digital copy can just go away after that, and like, oh, you're gone, So that's kind of a thing that people hate when it comes to that aspect. But one thing I kind of thought of was paper quality. With digital, you don't have to deal with poor paper quality. You know?
That's true. I wonder though if depending on how people get it, if there's different digital qualities.
That I don't know. That would be interesting to see, but I don't know if the quality is affected depending on where you get it from.
Right.
You know, because usually the manga companies have pretty high quality standards when it comes to scanning in their manga,
Right.
but they don't always have the high quality when it comes to their paper quality.
That's also true.
Like, I don't know, like how many Viz 3-in-1s have you picked up and the paper quality has been like almost newspaper quality sometimes.
Honestly, none of mine are that way.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's always one of those things when people go 3-in-1s or something like that, or like really shitty quality.
yeah.
Because if I had to guess or say anything about it,
Mm-hmm.
I would say I probably had like one,
Uh-huh. Which
but
one
people
was
were
that?
like, I can't remember.
Okay. Okay.
But I mean, most of the time, which I consider like onion thin.
Yeah.
You can see through it like onion paper.
Yeah.
But most of the time, all of the 3-in-1s or 4-in-1s or 2-in-1s or whatever that I've gotten that are like from the Vizbigs, all
Yeah.
mine are pretty good.
Well, I'm not talking about like the Viz Bigs because the Viz Bigs are kind of high. They're more better quality when it comes to printing. I was talking more about like the 3-in-1s. Like
Yeah,
the Dragon Ball 3-in-1s or the Dragon Ball Z 3-in-1s that aren't the Viz Bigs. It's the
right,
ones that are like the normal Tankubon sized 3-in-1s. You know what I'm
right,
talking about?
right.
And like the Full Metal Alchemist 3-in-1s or the Naruto 3-in-1s or the One Piece 3-in-1s. There's definitely like a downgrade when it comes to paper quality because they're trying to make it as cheap as possible and get the most money out of their investment because it
Yeah,
takes a lot to run the printers and actually print manga. you know so all their quality of their printing isn't always the best, how I see it sometimes.
right. Which that also brings up the question, just thinking about it in this pros and cons talk,
Mm-hmm.
is size.
Yeah,
Um, do when it's scanned in or whatever, are they all your average Takuban size, or are they sized accordingly with like how their actual manga Takuban is put out?
that's a good question to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought about it. So
Yeah, I don't. That
because
I'm.
I mean, there's some of them like even ones that we've covered already.
Uh-huh.
Ultraman. Some of them like the size. I feel like plays into how you read it.
Yeah,
And
yeah, but I mean, Ultraman was like a signature edition, so that's a little bigger.
right, and that's what I'm saying though. What if the size of like that would be like everything else we've covered that's smaller, like your
Mm,
average Takuban size?
I don't know if that would affect your viewing pleasure on said electronic device. So I mean, you
Uh,
have people who still read manga on their phones,
that's true.
and that's smaller than a tankobon.
That's true.
Sometimes.
But I mean, on that same aspect, I mean, you might, if it is the same thing, you might miss other manga that is printed bigger or whatever. You might miss smaller details.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
I can definitely see that. You could probably lose details in them,
Yeah.
because even when we have manga ourselves, they have the bigger paper. Like I have the Fist of the North, not the Fist of North Star, the Blade of the Immortal
Yeah.
deluxe edition, which those are the size of a regular like trade paperback, or a little bit bigger than a trade paperback.
Yeah. Like an encyclopedia.
Yeah, like an encyclopedia. You know, you could kill somebody with that thing.
Right.
But
Walked
like
up right behind him.
I or no, I take it back. When the Berserk deluxe editions were coming out,
Yeah.
so when the Berserk deluxe editions were coming out, I remember Near Mint Condition, I think it was, he compared the deluxe edition printing to the regular Tonkubon printing.
Yeah.
And he said that because the manga was getting shrunk down to the small tankobon, it was actually cutting off artwork
Right.
in the that was originally released.
Right. I remember
So
hearing that.
yeah, so the artwork was kind of expanded upon and actually better in the deluxe editions because it's not cut down and shrunk and
Right.
cropped or whatever.
And there's actually a border.
Yeah, there's actually a border. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I can I don't know if that is affected by digital. If digital is like that in any way, shape, or form,
Right.
that'd be interesting to see if that was affected. If manga was affected by that,
Yeah.
you know.
Which I think I've only ever had problem with one. I can't remember what manga it was. But I remember there was one I was reading, and it was from a site back in the day before I knew
a,
about
a, an illegal site.
possibly back when I was naive and I didn't know any better.
You filthy
And
pirate.
the Yai-ho, Yai-ho,
Oh,
Yai-ho set sell for One Piece.
it's Monkey
uh,
D. Luffy, king of the pirates. Yo ho
exactly.
ho! He took a bite of gum gum.
He's made of rubber. uh, but I was reading it, and it seemed like, how sometimes you get like right at the end of a printing line or whatever, and they like spill extra ink on it or something like that.
No,
Like it'll have ink blots.
no, I don't.
Okay, well you must
Like
not
the
have
ink
any.
wasn't like the like when they were inking the page,
Yeah, like when
ink spots got on the page.
like when they ink the page, and it's like they're pulling the press away from it, and when it
Yeah,
happens, there's like a big drop that falls on it.
no, I have never seen that.
Okay, I have a bunch that are like that here and there.
Oh, you have to
Um,
take pictures and send them to me,
if I can find them.
or just take a picture of one and send it
But
to me.
there was one that I read, and um, there was such a big ink blot on it. I think the person was holding a sword,
Uh
because
huh.
I read a bunch of medieval stuff, so that's probably what it
Yeah.
was. And the ink blot was so big it was covering up the person's hand and their
Oh,
weapon and
really?
everything, and the person they were talking to.
Oh, wow.
So it looked like they were just talking to like, this big black
Yeah.
black hole that was on it, and I was like, what the hell?
So I had it recently. I had something happen that I've never had happen before, which was, Viz is kind of known for not having the best quality control, people say sometimes, with their spines, and the printing of their spines, how sometimes
Right.
they'll be off or whatever, But I had it to where I was reading JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I think volume 3 or whatever, omnibus 3 or whatever it is, I was
Right.
reading the first part and I had it to where I go to turn the page and I was like, wait, did I miss something? And my pages were not cut. Like, there was a fold where the pages were stuck together.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what do? I don't want to rip my manga. So then I took an X-Acto knife and I delicately split the pages because they were still folded together and it was like
Yeah.
the page just wasn't cut, And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I saved it, I'm good. I go on to the next chapter, same thing,
Oh my god,
same thing, and I'm like, fuck me,
that would
oh my
suck.
god. I was like, oh my god. I was like,
I mean,
luckily,
that's better than some of the other stuff, which because you and I talked about it whenever you finally got hiding closer.
what about hiding closer?
I had one chapter that was like in volume 5,
Uh-huh.
and it was like in the middle of like chapter. I think in the complete volume, it's like 10 chapters. I think like chapter 8 had been pulled out, flipped around backwards, and
Oh.
and that's how it was in the book. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But the first
That's
run of Get Backers,
yeah.
actually took one of the chapters and split the pages throughout the entire book.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you'll occasionally run into something like that. This was the first time I've actually ran into something like that where, I was like, oh, I had, a misprint.
Yeah.
I did have a misprint a long time ago, but it was for a comic book. I
Yeah.
was supposed to get X-Men Manifest Destiny, I think it was number 5.
Yeah.
And then inside of it, it had Spider-Man and the X-Men, number 3 or something like that.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was a completely different comic book. And they're like, oh, you can
That's
return
funny.
it for
So it
more.
wasn't even the same one.
No, yeah. It had the cover for Manifest Destiny on it, I believe it was.
Yeah.
But in the comic book itself, it was completely different.
Oh my god, that's
And
hilarious.
they were like, you can return it if you want and get your money back. And I was like, no, I'll keep it. It might be a collector's item someday.
That's
And
true.
I was looking online. I was like, oh, this only goes for $5.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
there were multiple copies like that.
I had I can't remember who sent it to me, but I had somebody tell me that they had a copy of like Tokyo Ghoul that was that way. And
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. They're like, I'm just gonna throw this away. And I said, no, I said, send it to me. And they were like, why? I said, I want it.
Or what about that recent misprint where the cover of what was it? Damn it. I can't remember. What's the one with the girl? She studies magic and the skeleton guy. He's like a skeleton horse face. Do you remember? Do you remember what that?
Skeleton Knight?
No, he has like a horse face and he buys her as a slave. Oh, I can't remember. God damn it. Whatever that one was, I can't remember what it was.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was. But the cover was black and gray. There was no color on the cover.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And there was like
It wasn't like Dye Dark, was it?
No. It was just
okay.
I don't remember what it was called. I'm a bad otaku because I can't fucking remember.
Bad otaku, baby.
Bad otaku. Weeb Family talks about it all the time.
Oh.
But in it, on the cover, it was supposed to be colored, but it was sent out as black and gray because the printer messed up the covers. So, like, you saw the picture, but it was just in black and gray.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
they're like, well, if you want to buy it, you can buy it. But, like, but people were buying it apparently. And, like, I think they're going for quite a bit. But it's like a run of this particular manga. I can't remember what it was called. Damn it, it's gonna bug me now that I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
because but let's get back to digital versus physical and kind of wrap this up a little bit. Right. Why do you think this is an ongoing discussion within our community, and why is it kind of almost at it was or is still kind of at like a negative slant?
I mean, I honestly feel like it's pointless. It's a pointless conversation piece, except for on our podcast.
Because we're talking about it?
Yeah, because we like to call out the ne'er-do-wells. But I feel like people try and make it relevant when it really doesn't matter or shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing. Like, people are going to read and consume and do all this other stuff however they want to do it, but who are you to really tell them? It kind of goes back to that one phrase that you had to tell me what it was.
What was that?
Because I had to ask you. I didn't know what it meant. Gatekeeping.
Oh yeah, gatekeeping. I was into this manga before it was even popular.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, basically, like, people that are gatekeepers of, like, paperback versus digital stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if you don't have paperback, you're trash.
It's so weird to think about, because I mean, the companies took such a long time to get with the digital program.
Right.
They took such a long time to get with the times of the new trends and stuff like that. That it seemed like they were almost afraid, which kind of made us as collectors, it seemed like, be afraid to try digital at all.
Right.
Because of the fact that we didn't own said titles. Because in reality, we're all hoarders in some way, shape, or form. And
True.
We have to collect all this stuff. But yet, in reality, what's all this stuff going to go to? Who's all this stuff going to go to when we die, like, what are we going to do, like,
right.
The next 25, 30, 40 years, So, yeah, I really do agree with you with the whole digital versus physical thing. I don't feel like it's a thing. I don't feel like it should be a thing. As long as you're enjoying said manga, it's okay.
Right.
Whether or not you're digital or physical. It should not be a thing. And I feel like people are, like you said, people are trying to make it a thing. Yeah.
Right.
It's like the whole sub versus dub debate.
Definitely.
Yeah. Very true. And honestly, I don't want to talk about this topic ever again. Yeah, that's true. Well,
now we have a show that won't ever get taken down, so now we don't have to worry about it, okay? Refer to you want to know about that? Yeah, refer to episode what are we on, 37, and it'll tell you what you need to know about my
most definitely, like, when I kind of brought this idea up, it was just on a whim type of thing, and you're like, okay, yeah, let's try to do it, see how it goes, But I feel like the whole digital versus physical is just people try to justify what they want to have when it comes to their manga. All right. Anyways, check us out on our podcast. Let us know what you think about digital versus physical on our Instagram, or email us at otakuologypodcast@gmail.com. Send us a voicemail at anchor.fm/otakuology. Send us a voicemail. We'll play it on the air. Jen, when will they see us next? Even though we don't release stuff on Tuesday?
Oh, man. Like they always is.
Yeah.
You'll see us next Tuesday.
Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. Yeah. Even though we had to record it again because our first recording fucked up.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
People know the hidden...
Well,
you know, people... Do people know the hidden meaning behind see you next Tuesday?
Take it easy. Enjoy the podcast.
Okay. That could be a question that somebody could ask.
Platforms that you listen to us on, and that's the best way you can help. Like, share, subscribe, stuff like that. You know.